This is the District 2 Sports Podcast with your hosts, Gregory, Devin, and Big G, your voice for local sports in Southern Virginia. You can listen to this episode and hundreds of others on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Give us a like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
They're not in my top 12. They're not in my top 12. I told y'all. They're not.
Big G got his teams in and they all lost last week. So,
how did you get that? I got two teams in and one of them lost.
I need to throw one more shout out. I got a shout out to my little guy over there on the left, little Dev.
The spreadsheet is back out, and it's back.
Oh, you have one for basketball?
I got one for basketball.
Yes.
Really? You're not for Spurs? Okay. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Whoa,
So now we're
man,
going hot now. It's going hot.
For anybody listening tonight, or anybody paying attention, if y'all don't know, the mob is in the NFL.
Not a fan? Not a fan of the lo-fi?
That music was atrocious.
That was weak. That did not.
That was the first thing I wrote down. As soon as it started, I put, not crazy about this.
All right, so District 2 Sports Podcast, and today we're joined by the newly appointed head coach of the Ferrum College Panthers men's basketball team. It's Coach James Johnson, who's returning back to his alma mater. Coach, how are you doing today?
Greg, I'm doing good. How you doing, man?
Doing well. We've been talking about it. We're Franklin County residents now, or you're going to be here soon, so it's really cool. I should have just done this at Ferrum College. I didn't even think about that, but yeah. I know you're a busy guy. Have you had any time to kind of relax and kind of just enjoy being the head coach there, or has it been on the run since you got there?
Yeah, it's been on the run, but this past weekend was able to get at least a day or so. But even so, then when cooking on the grill or doing stuff around, I still have my cell phone with me and taking calls and making calls. So it's been busy, but it's a good thing.
Gotcha. Well, Coach, congratulations on coming back home to Ferrum. You were there previously as a player and an assistant coach. But you spent many years at the D1 level, just assistant coach, the head coach as well. What was the timing or the feeling that made now the right time to come back to Ferrum College to take over the head coach?
Well, I think one of the reasons and one of the main reasons is our president. Dr. Martin is her vision, for the college, her vision for the athletics program, her vision for the basketball program as we transition, into the world of Division II. I felt like this was a great time to go ahead and make that move, especially under the leadership of Dr. Martin and Division II. When I was here as a player and as a coach, we were Division III, and I'm excited about the move to Division II under the leadership of Dr. Martin.
And you mentioned, I was watching the press conference, you mentioned it was time to get back to Ferrum. What specifically, and I know you mentioned the president, but as far as the scenery or just kind of being back in Ferrum, what drew you back to this place, and what things have changed or remained the same since you were last here?
Well, what drew me back is this is where I got my start. I've been fortunate that basketball has been really good to me, and God has blessed me where I've been able to travel the world, because of basketball. I've been able to coach at the highest level as a head coach at Virginia Tech, and coach on the biggest stage in college basketball, the Final Four. So I felt like, it's time for me to give back to where it all started. As I said, I was a player here and, was a part of 2 championships, was also a coach, part of another championship. And I just felt like it's time full circle to come back and give back to, the students at this level.
I love it, Coach. Just kind of going back to when you played there back in the early 90s. You guys won several Dixie Conference regular season championships, maybe the only NCAA tournament, I think, in Ferrum history there in 92. When you look back at the era, what made that team so special, and how much of that experience do you want to help shape the standard that you want to put there now as the head coach there at Ferrum?
Well, I think the culture that, Coach Bill Pullen at the time instilled in in all of us, in the locker room, which goes to the motto of Ferrum, not self but others. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how our locker room was. It wasn't about any one person. It was about the team. It always been about the team. It was the closest team probably that I've been a part of, aside from that Final Four team. We were talented, but we were close on and off the floor. We held each other accountable. Our practices were probably tougher than the games because of the competition we had to go against every day, and because of the way Coach Pullen, coached us up. So, I anticipate installing the culture in the locker room of not self but others. Everybody throw the egos out. Let's get on the same page, and the same page is win. We're all here to win and have a great experience here at Ferrum College.
Coach, I have a general question for just athletics in general, as far as basketball. I mean, recently you've been hearing a lot for the mid-majors talking about, hey, let's just send our regular season champion to the NCAA tournament. They don't really go through that conference tournament experience where they get upset and kind of send a lesser team to the NCAA tournament. You guys played in the Dixie Conference. You guys won a couple of regular season championships, and I believe back in those days, if you didn't win the conference tournament, you didn't make it to the NCAA tournament. So you had to win those games. As a player and as a coach now, I was going to get your thoughts. You like to see where they've seen the regular season champion, or do you appreciate that conference championship tournament to see their champion out to the NCAA tournament?
Well, I think the one thing you say about the regular season champion is, I think the regular season champion is the true champion. I mean, you go through 18, 20 games, 22, whatever is in your league, and you have to go through sicknesses, guys sitting out with sick, guys injured, road games, back-to-back road games. There's a lot of things you have to go, travel issues. There's a lot of things you have to go through during a regular season to be able to come out ahead after a 22, 20-game season and say, hey, we are the champions. After all of this we went through, we are the champions. But, I think now with the way the conferences are built, you don't play everybody twice. You don't, sometimes in some leagues, you don't play everybody even once. So I think the imbalance in the league, I think the conference tournament adds a lot of excitement. It gives everybody in the league a new lease on life, so to speak. Everybody a chance. There may be some teams that went through the regular season that didn't have a lot of good luck on their side, where they've had some major injuries or some guys that set out significant amount of time where they get those guys back, or they started playing well and got hot at the end of the year. So it gives those teams a chance. I think you can look at it, both ways, but I do think that the regular season champ is a true champion, but also, the tournament champion, gives guys a breath of fresh air and give everybody a chance. But even now, not every team is playing in the conference tournament. Yep. Some teams in a lot of the leagues, the last 2 or the last 4 teams don't even participate in there. So, I think, anytime you can say you're a champion, you get a chance to play for a championship, that's a good thing.
Coach, on the opposite end of that, as a player making it in 1992, how much did you appreciate being able to make it to the NCAA tournament after all those things had to line up? You win the regular season, you win the conference tournament, you avoid injury and all that good stuff. You guys actually make it to the NCAA tournament. How much do you appreciate that?
Well, as a player at that time, it was expected. Every year it was expected. That's just what we thought. And even now, as a coach, that's what you think. But in reality, the school been around for a long time, and the one team went to the NCAA tournament, and I was fortunate to be a part of that team. And when you look back on that, man, that's a big task, and I'm fortunate to be a part of that team, to be a lot of those players, we stay in contact all the time now. I still got championship shirts and jackets that we got, and obviously the rings, but I don't take that lightly to to be able to win. And I've been on teams as coaches where we were the regular season champions and we got knocked out. And I want to say, and I don't have to look back really at my career, but I know 3 or 4 times I was the regular season champion, being a part of teams. We were the regular season champions and got knocked out, in the tournament. So to get to that NCAA tournament, I'm proud of that accomplishment.
I love it, Coach. And then going back to your time there, again, you may correct me on this, but I think you're a 3-time Conference Defensive Player of the Year there in the Dixie Conference. Named one of the top players in Ferrum basketball history. What kind of identity did you have as a player, and what kind of those traits do you hope to put into your team that the fans could see, coming this season?
Well, coming out of high school, out of Powhatan, Virginia, I was a big-time scorer. Mm-hmm. I was one of the top 10 scorers in the Richmond metro area, and you had guys like Kenny Harris that went to, North Carolina and then transferred to VCU. You had Kendrick Warren, who was a McDonald's All-American. Wow. That stayed home to go to VCU, and I was one of the top scorers, in the area. So, for me to come to Ferrum and be a part of so many very talented players, I actually changed my identity from being to get on the floor, to be able to get on the floor. Wow. I had to go from an offensive guy to a defensive guy. So my identity was Dennis Rodman-like. I guarded the best team player on the other team. I did all the dirty work, the rebounding, diving on the floor for loose balls. But I think I earned a lot of respect from my teammates. They knew that, I would do whatever the team needed to win. My coach knew that whatever I would do, whatever the team needed to do to win. And I think the fans knew that, hey, when we watch this guy play, he's a hardworking, handy man, going to do a little bit of everything. And he's going to do whatever, the team needs to do to win. And they appreciated that. I think fans buy into that, buy into players like that. And I think that, when you look at, what I want my teams to look like, is going to be, again, the motto of not self, Ferrum College's motto of not self but others. I kind of instilled that into myself. That was the type of player I was. That's the type of team that I want, the type of players that I want. Everybody's going to have a role on the team, but they're going to be, everybody can't do the same thing in order for us to go out and be a championship-oriented team. So we're going to have to embrace our roles, and that's kind of what I did for our team, and that's the kind of coach that I am.
Coach, how about those qualities as far as the toughness, the discipline? How much did being a squad leader in the Army National Guard play into that defensive mindset for you?
Well, probably basic training in the Army National Guard, probably was one of the toughest things that I've had to do in my life. But it prepared me for life. It prepared me to be a part of a team. It prepared me with discipline. It prepared me with leadership. It prepared me for everything that I've gone through up to this point, and including in being a leader and being a head coach. So I attend a lot of things that I learned in the military, in the Army National Guard, to what I do as what I did as a player and what I do as a coach, and how I lead my team now.
That's awesome. And so you graduate in 93. You immediately get into coaching there on Coach Bill Poland there at Ferrum. What made you believe, or what did you, what advice were you given, or why would you want to pursue coaching professionally at that point?
Well, in my sophomore year here, I assumed kind of the leadership role of our team. Mm-hmm. And to watch the way the team responded to me, even though I wasn't the big-time scorer on the team, to see the way the team responded to me and me leading them, I knew after that sophomore year that I wanted to be a coach. And to have someone coach me like Coach Pullen, he had an impact on my life. He had an impact on my basketball career. He had an impact on all of us on the floor, all these young men from the different backgrounds that we were from, and him being able to mold us into a team and not individuals, that lit a fire in my heart and a passion for coaching. And I knew at that point I wanted to go into coaching. I didn't know it was going to be here at Ferrum, but I knew I wanted to go into coaching. And I remember taking a senior seminar class here at Ferrum, and one of the assignments that we had in the class was to write up some goals. And I actually still got this sheet, and one of the goals was to be the head coach, at that time, of a high school team, and lead the team to the state championship and things. And I still got that list right now. And lo and behold, I ended up being the assistant coach here at Ferrum.
That's awesome. Coach, you've we talked about your resume. We'd be here all day. You've done a lot in your time as a assistant coach and a head coach. But you worked for some of the biggest names in college basketball. We've seen Seth Greenberg, Jim Larrañaga, Kevin Keatts, just to name a few. What were some lessons or some experiences you can take from working with them into your position now as a head coach, or just in your journey as a head coach and assistant coach as well?
Yeah, when throughout my career, I've been blessed to work for some very good coaches. Now, number one, they were very good people, and number two, they were very good coaches. They allowed me to coach, which in turn helped my career and helped prepare me to be a head coach. But from each person, from each coach, I took a little bit of something from each guy. My coaching mentality and my thoughts, a little bit of a potpourri, I would say, because I take a little bit from everybody that I've worked for. So I have some ideas from each guy that in turn, and I have some of my own ideas, which in turn created me as a head coach.
Gotcha. I like that. Now you're head coach there at Ferrum. You're taking over a program who was under Patrick Corrigan. I think they were 59-48. Had a very successful, tutelage here while I was here for this, I think, for 3 or 4 years. How do you build upon that success and kind of put your stamp on the program as well?
Yeah, Pat's done a very good job during this time. In fact, I knew Pat. Pat's uncle was our athletic director when I was working at NC State. Wow. Pat, over the years, he and I have spoken. He's done a very good job here, and really good job from the transition from Division III to Division II. So I just wanted we're going to continue to build this thing, continue to transition from into the Division II and the Carolinas Conference ranks, and put my spin on it now. And one of the things that we're going to incorporate and try to incorporate is the alumni and all the guys that I played with, and from the JUCO guys to the Division III guys to the Division II guys, and all of the coaches that I've coached here have something to do with where Ferrum is today. Pat just happened to be the most recent guy, but all the coaches from the JUCO days to the Division III days to me now have had something to do with building this thing up. And I'm just hoping that I can continue to build this program up to make everyone that has gone to school here and everyone that's worked here proud.
We've seen Ferrum win in the Conference Carolinas this last year. They beat. We talked to UNC Pembroke coach Drew Richards. I mean, they won the conference, but Ferrum got an upset win over them just last year. So they can definitely do it in the conference. What steps does Ferrum need to take to be not only just be competitive, but to actually win the conference as well?
Yeah, we got to continue to we got to continue to have an identity. We got to our identity is going to be we're going to try to come out every night and be one of the hardest playing teams in the country, compete at a high level, and that's going to start in the workouts day one when we start that, and just building that foundation and that culture of hard work. I've done my research on this conference. I've done my research on these teams. There's some very good coaches in this league, some very good teams in this league. We got our work cut out, for us, but it's going to start day one when the kids get back and we start working out and building our culture here, that we can, go out and compete with these teams at a high level.
Coach, I'm going to get to a little bit of recruiting, just kind of your general philosophy. D2, I mean, it's kind of interesting. I was asking Coach Richards about this too. You're going to have some kids from D3 who, hey, I'm crushing on D3. I want to move up to D2 now. You may have some kids who are on the D1 level and say, hey, I'm not getting the playing time I wanted to. Maybe I want to move down to D2. How much do you have to rely upon your assistant coaches to kind of identify talent that would fit there at Ferrum from the D1 level and from the D3 level, and people who want to transfer in general on the D2 level as well?
Well, that's going to be one of the most important things with me and my staff when identifying players, and not just basketball players, identifying players for Ferrum College. Mm-hmm. This place is not going to be for everyone, just like another school is not going to be for everyone. We have to identify the student athletes that can be high-level individuals, high-level academics, and high-level athletes on the court. I want me and my staff to identify the guys that are the total packages. And they're out there. We're going to have to dig under a rock. That's something that I got from one of the coaches that I work for. We're going to have to dig under a rock. They're out there. We just got to do a lot of hard work, find who can do it here at Ferrum College for us, our style of play, our academics, our community, our campus, our location. We got to do that job and identify those guys. And I think we'll put together a staff that'll be able to do that. But it's not going to be easy. You have, the transfer portal. You have, like, as you said, guys coming up, trying to come down. You got guys that's down a level, trying to move up. You have high school guys trying to get in. You have junior college guys. Everybody is trying to find a place right now, and it's our job to find the right fit for Ferrum College and Ferrum College basketball team.
Coach, we talked to a couple coaches. We have one coach who admitted out, said, hey, I'm looking to recruit that older prospect. I want that guy, transferring who's got more experience. Talked to some other coaches, say, hey, we want to recruit the high school player, get him there for all 4 years, build him up, and get them through, how we want to fit our system. You're coming into the job now. I'm sure you have to do some back and forth. And how do you? I guess initially maybe you have to look at the transfer portal for more players, and then maybe you look to build up through high school. But how do you feel like your philosophy for recruiting will shape out over the years?
Well, I think even now, my philosophy with recruiting is going to get the best young man, the best student, and the best athlete for Ferrum College. I'm not going to rush into anything right now, even though it's year one and came in a little late in the game, and most of these coaches have been, at their respective institutions. I want to make sure I'm patient and I get the right guy for the locker room and the right guy for our program, not just a team. That's what I want to build, a program. And, right now, if that means junior college kids, transfers, high school kids, I just want to, be patient and get the right kid. But, in the long run, I want to try to build this thing up with high school kids and teach them from the ground up. And then, fill in the gaps when necessary with transfer portal guys, whether it be JUCO transfers or, other college program transfers. But regardless of where they come from, we're going to do a lot of work to make sure they're the best fit for our college and our basketball program.
Coach, James Johnson, the player, how much NIL would he have wanted or respected in his playing days?
Well, it depends. My high school playing days, I would have wanted a lot of money. My college playing days, a guy just wanting a defensive stopper. I'm not sure how much money that's warranted right now, unless you're on the football side of things and you're going to get a lockdown corner or a edge rusher that's kind of what I would have been in the football sense of things. I would have been a lockdown corner or edge rusher, and those guys are going for a lot of money. So basketball, I'm not sure how much just a defensive stopper is going for these days.
Coach, as far as recruiting goes, as far as relationships, I mean, you obviously have to know these coaches, know the AAU circuit. I mean, you've been an assistant coach there in the D1 level for years, but recently you were the director of high school relations there for Virginia Tech football. How much of relationships do you still have going on, and how much do they play a part into your recruiting there at Ferrum?
Oh, man, it's funny because when I went over to football, I love college football. I'm a college football fan. When I went over to football, I was concerned about the relationships, the football relationships back. But you would be surprised at the amount of my basketball contacts that contacted me and put me in contact with high-level football players.
Wow.
Whether it was guys that played on their AAU team that were getting recruited by both football and basketball, but getting recruited at a higher level for football, or whether they had a nephew or a cousin or someone that they knew that played football, and they said, hey, man, this kid, you need to look at him. I probably got more calls from my basketball contacts putting me in touch with football guys than some of the football contacts that I created in the last 3 years. So I was surprised about that. And when I took the job here, all of my basketball contacts, when I would go into a school recruiting for football, they would, oh, man, Coach JJ, yeah, man. They would remember me from the basketball days, the high school coaches, the guidance counselors, some principals in the school. And then all the football guys have reached out to me, and any way I could help you at Ferrum, let me know, because a lot of these kids are two-way athletes too. Even the high-level guys, they're two-way athletes. They play, and even all the football guys think they can play basketball anyway.
I love that. Coach, talk about the schedule. I mean, I don't know if you guys are in the middle of contracts or not, as far as if Corrigan set the schedule for next year. How much influence will you have, and what's kind of your philosophy as far as scheduling teams for next year or the years come?
Well, the conference schedule is done, and then the non-conference schedule, there were a couple of games that were under consideration that I came in, and upon doing my research and my homework, I felt like it made sense to go ahead and move forward with those games. So I'm in the process of working on the schedule now. My philosophy on scheduling is going to be, we're going to try to play. We want to be, if you want to be the best in the country at your level, you gotta play the best and test yourself, see where you are, see what how those teams are, and at some point that's where we're gonna get to. And a lot of people are full, their schedule's full right now, so gonna have to wait on that. But in the future, my scheduling philosophy, we're going to try to play the best, try to test ourselves, see where we are, especially with just going in to year 2 this year of Division II. Next year will be Division III. So, year 3 of the Division II. So we're gonna try to play, some of the best. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. So that's kind of where the way I look at things with scheduling.
Hey, Coach, I apologize for being late. I had fur baby duty to take care of, so I apologize to you. But
all right,
you and Gregory may have. Doing good. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope I don't hit on something that you guys have already talked about, but I probably will. But it's just, from my knowledge and maybe some others. But, if you, I guess in a roundabout way, if Ferrum had been a D3 school, would you have still made the choice to come back home?
That's a good question. I think the timing is right now, with Dr. Martin and the vision that the president of the university has. And, I've been blessed to have a great career at the Division I level. Been a head coach in the ACC, coached in the Final Four. I think it was time to come back to Ferrum and give back to where it all started for a young man, 6'2", 150-pound kid out of Powhatan, Virginia. Gave me a chance to get my degree, be the first one in my family to graduate from college, give me my first coaching job. I think this is the right timing for me to come back and give back. Yeah.
For your head, but then now,
I think we're losing Big G's question here.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll get back in here in a second. I think we're losing his signal. But Coach, I want to ask you kind of talked about Ferrum as far as the president goes. How much support have you had from the community as well, and just the surrounding academic staff to get this thing up and running? I think they made like a very good coaching hire for you to come back with all your experience. So it seems like they are very into college basketball and wanting to make this thing work on D2 level.
Yeah, I think the reception has been great. From Dr. Martin, to the all the former players, the former coaches, the community. A lot of people still remember me from when I played here. I was just on campus, and had a couple meetings on campus and walking around, and people are coming up to me, and I'm introducing myself, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I remember you. I remember you." So it's good to be remembered in good ways. And as we talked about earlier, for a guy that graduated, got his degree here, and then played for a couple of championships teams, and the only school in the history to go to the the NCAA tournament. The reception has been great, and it's good to be remembered in a good way, and look forward to all the support.
Coach, you've been like I said, you've been coaching for a long time on the D1 level, but you played here. You made it to the NCAA tournament here at Ferrum. Do you feel like, maybe you don't feel any anxiety at all or any nervousness at all whatsoever, but is there something that, feels something inside you, like, hey, I played here. This is a different responsibility for me now as a head coach here at Ferrum?
Yeah, absolutely. You got a sense of pride. You're always everywhere you've been. You want to win. You want to do the best job you could do for that school, that university, the players on the team at that time, the community, the boosters, the alum. But, this one is different. I'm a former player, got my degree here, got my coaching start here. So it's a little different for me here. This one kind of hits a little different. And, I'm every coach is competitive in their own way. They want to win, they want to do so, being able to do that at your home school where it all started for you, it just feels a little different, and it hits a little different at home now.
Coach, have you gotten to the food scene here in Rocky Mount at all? Have you got any restaurants you like so far?
Yes. 77 was always my spot. The country home cooked food right down the street. That was always my spot. But they also have some newer places since I've been gone. Jose's, a nice Mexican restaurant there, and then Buddy's out in Rocky Mount, the barbecue place out there, and then Frank's Pizza out there in Rocky Mount got some of the best subs and pizza slices, so I do remember, those places, and I'm look forward to getting back. I've already been to 77 already. Already been to Frank's Pizza. I've always been to Jose's and Buddy's, so I'm making my rounds already.
Coach, what I've discovered, I don't know if you're a big barbecue person or not, but I've been to Rocky Mount Smokehouse. But the new one I found, it's called Back 40 Barbecue. So good, right there next to the Ferrum. You have to try that out one day. It's excellent food there.
That's right on 40, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I passed that, so I'm gonna hit that along with the hot dog stand too. So
yes,
those
sir.
Are two that I gotta hit. Yes, sir.
Coach, I'm going to try this again. I'll see what it has. Has anything changed between the head coaching job you had at Tech in that 2012 to 14 and then your head coaching job now? I mean, is it more travel, more phone calls, more anything?
Well, I think, I think what has changed is the NIL and the transfer portal. That has changed. The travel is always going to be there. If you want to get out and evaluate guys, you got to get out and see these guys play with their high school. I like seeing guys play with their high school team and their AAU team because they're different with each group. And when you're playing on your high school team and you're a 25-point a game scorer, you get to AAU, you're not going to be that 25-point a game. All those guys on that team scored 25. So I want to see how you play with other talented players. But, I think what has changed since that time as the head coach at Virginia Tech is the transfer portal and NIL.
Have you and Eric got together? Or is he as competitive as you are?
Ebo?
Yeah.
Eric Owen?
Yes, sir.
He is he was at the press conference. We haven't spent a lot of time. I've been running around, but I known Eric when he was here as a player. He was here. Billy Wagner was here. Those guys were here. Chris Warren was here. The football, legend. So we all grew up here at Ferrum together. So I know how competitive I call him Ebo, but I know how competitive Eric is, and I know Kevin Sherman in football, how competitive those guys are. That was the time when Ferrum was winning in every sport. And, hopefully we all look forward to getting everything back to that time.
Well, we talked with the coach down at Pembroke last week, and you are very much admired by him and much loved. But he said he didn't care if you went 0-25 this year. He still loves you, but he just, bad luck to the team. Okay.
Yeah. I got a lot of respect for Coach. I've watched. Being in North Carolina at NC State for 5 years, we have a lot of supporters, a lot of people that come to our games that are supporters of NC State, that are also supporters of UNC Pembroke. And I've known about that organization, that school, that team for a while. And Coach has done an unbelievable job down there. And we just hope that we can, give him something, just play on that level for a couple games and give him a game or two down there. They're doing such a great job. Congrats go out to Coach and everything he's been able to do there. And, this conference is very good. Coach has done a great job over there, but this is a very good basketball conference. Back when I was at Longwood College back in the late 90s, we were in the Carolinas Conference. Obviously, the conference have changed over the years, just like all these conferences are. But I'm very familiar with this conference, and Coach has done a great job.
Coach, kind of my last question, and not just probably for curiosity's sakes. I understand, and I just found out today that you have a really nice guard coming in this year from local, and I didn't know if it was we were able to say names, but how important to you going forward is that senior coming out of high school?
Well, I think it's going to be very important to me and my staff, and our jobs are to kind of dig under rock and find that guy that could fit Ferrum College as a student, as a young man, and a basketball player. And I think with the transfer portal, I think a lot of the high school players are now being just a tad bit unrecruited. There's some guys that 10 years ago might have been a Division I guy at a low major or a mid-major school, and now those schools are looking at the Power 5 transfers because they want an older guy. They want a guy that's played at the level, or they may have recruited that guy over the years and didn't get him. He ended up going a little higher. They want to come back and try to get that guy. And I think the high school guys are getting kind of overlooked. And I want to kind of dip into those high school guys and get those guys that could usually maybe play a little bit higher, but because of the portal, they're getting a little bit overlooked. So I'm a believer in the high school recruiting still.
Does the name on the jersey still mean something as far as the college, the university? I mean, I've watched a lot of ball since this NIL went through, and it's just so hard sometimes to see a different team on the floor every year. I mean, it's just very hard for me to, and then to say that that's a team or what have you. It's just hard, and I just wondered if that 2 to 4 year program is still available out there.
I think it's still available out there, but I think one of the things that, when you get these guys on the grassroots level now, they come in, this is their first school. And just like me coming back to my first job, it's always going to be a place in a young man's heart for the first school that offered him, the first school that recruited him, the first school that made the phone call, the first school that he enrolled in. It's always going to be a little infinitive in his heart for that school. So I think it's still a little bit out there. It's fading away a little bit. Once you get a kid now, he's been to three different colleges in 3 years. Now it's hard to say whether this Ferrum on the front of my shirt mean anything. You can't say that when you've been to 3 schools in 3 years. So I think you got to try to, I think recruiting the right kid and doing as much research you can on the kid, I think that still is important to digging in the background too and finding out what's really important to a young man.
Coach, I'm actually really surprised that Big G was very tame today. I thought he would come out with the old Dixie Conference rivalries there between Averett and Ferrum back in the day and have something to say, but
he's new, Gregory. I got to take it easy on him today.
I remember that little cracker box gym we used to go into there. Chad Ford from over there at Martinsville, Magna Vista High School over there. He was one of the toughest players I had to play against. I'm not going to forget Avery College. No, that Dixie Conference was a really tough league back then. Tough league.
Tough. It really was, and that. I still can't believe you could get off a jump shot in that gym. I played intramurals over there, so I mean, it didn't take much to hit the top of the ceiling. That's for sure.
That's right. You couldn't shoot a half court. You couldn't shoot a half court heave at the end of the half. No way. It's gonna hit the ceiling. But those places made college basketball, Division III college basketball at that time special. Going into those little cracker box gyms, it was packed in there. Just like you come to Ferrum, it's going to be packed. It was going to be hot. The people were going to be up on you, the students. In a lot of these places, that's all they had to look forward to was the basketball games, and they showed out at every one of those places. Some good basketball in those leagues.
And one characteristic, Gary, I know I took you over there to a game or two, but the teams didn't have seats. They had to sit in the bleachers, basically on the front row of the bleachers.
On the front row, you pull the
just doing all the equipment.
Yeah. No telling who's going to be sitting behind you. Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was probably me.
That's high school stuff.
During a time, yes, that's high school stuff. During a timeout, there's no pulling the seats out to the free throw line. The coach is talking to you, so the crowd can't hear what he's saying. No, you were sitting right there in the bleachers. Bringing back memories, Big G. I love it.
Oh, man, I love that. Well, Coach, my last one for me. When Ferrum fans walk into Schwartz Gym, what do you hope they feel about the direction of the future of the Ferrum Panthers basketball program?
Yeah, like these guys, the young men that are out there competing on the floor, they're great kids. They're very respectable. They represent Ferrum College in a first-class manner. They represent their families. As Big G say, the name on this is, at this point in time, the name on the back of the jersey does mean something to me because you're also representing your family, your name. And the way you act, the way you compete, is you go out there and you give it all. I want them to walk in the gym and say, you know what? That's a first-class young man. That's a first-class team. And they play hard as heck. They respect the game of basketball, and they play their tails off. They love the game of basketball.
Coach, I love it. I just want to reiterate, I think Ferrum has made a great hire. I think made a significant investment into the program, to not only basketball, but the D2 especially with all your experience and everything you've been through. And just being a former player there, I know you're going to take responsibility for this team, and we look forward to covering you guys. I know I might come bother you a couple of times over here in Franklin County, not being so close, so I hope you don't mind that a little bit. But, Coach, we can't think enough of going on today.
Let's go to Big Red's. What is the barbecue place?
Oh, back 40 barbecue.
Let's go to Back 40 Barbecue. I'm ready. You let me. You say the word, and I'm ready.
Yes, sir. That's awesome.
Coach. And District 2 Sports Podcast budget will pay for that, Coach.
Oh, I love it. Yes, let's go today.
That's awesome. We heard here from Coach James Johnson, the newly appointed coach of the Ferrum College Panthers. Coach, thank you so much, man.
Yep, thank you. I appreciate it. And right now I'm 0-0, and everybody is happy with me right now. So I'm gonna enjoy. I'm gonna enjoy the happiness that I have and everybody have, and keep working and grinding to build this team. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate you.